clocking in at a substantial 556 pages. The memoir A Life in the 20th Century, Innocent Beginnings, 2000, by renowned historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr. prompted one critic to remark, the mere fact that he found the first 33 years of his life worthy of a 556-page memoir demonstrates either hubris or a life truly worth living. True to his profession, Schlesinger intricately weaves his personal narrative into the broader context of socio-political movements and sentiments of his time, painting a portrait of his individual journey intertwined with that of his nation. Born in 1917 in Columbus, Ohio, Schlesinger Jr. was raised in an environment deeply immersed in academia and historical discourse. His father, the formidable progressive school historian Arthur Schlesinger Sr., and his mentor, Charles Beard, played pivotal roles in reshaping the landscape of American historical studies, paving the way for the emergence of social history and later, more nuanced explorations of race and gender in the United States. Reflecting on his father's approach to history, Schlesinger Jr. contrasts it with the identity-driven studies that gained prominence in the 1990s. He observes, "My father and his generation viewed multiculturalism as a phase in the assimilation of newcomers into an American identity and culture they helped shape upon their arrival." However, by the 1990s, Schlesinger notes a shift in perspective, where ethnicity was increasingly seen as the defining aspect of the American experience, leading to a rejection of the notion of a unified national culture. Throughout his memoir, Schlesinger Jr. expounds on his distaste for this militant version of multiculturalism, a sentiment that became a hallmark of his professional career as he actively opposed it. Even in his youth, Schlesinger displayed a voracious appetite for reading, consuming books at a remarkable pace for his age. He dedicates considerable pages in his memoir to recounting his favorite literary works, while also offering retrospective critiques of these formative influences. For instance, he reflects, "I recall enjoying Swiss Family Robinson as a child. However, when I later read Johann Weiss's derivative of Crusoe to my own children, the Robinson family struck me as a group of zealous Calvinists who devoted excessive time to prayer and the senseless slaughter of innocent animals." Predictably, Schlesinger excelled academically. Leveraging his father's connections, he secured a position at Phillips Exeter Academy before matriculating at Harvard and later becoming a Henry Fellow at Cambridge. Amidst World War II, Schlesinger served initially in the Office of War Information and later in what would evolve into the Office of Strategic Services, ultimately becoming the CIA. During this period, he encountered notable figures such as John Kenneth Galbraith, Walt Rostow, and Bill Casey. Upon his return to the United States from Europe, his second book, The Age of Jackson, was already published, garnering a Pulitzer Prize, selling 90,000 copies, and solidifying Schlesinger's academic standing. Subsequently relocating to Washington, he mingled with influential personalities like columnist Joe Alsop and the publisher of the Washington Post, Phil Graham. Schlesinger contributed regularly to The Atlantic, Fortune, and Life magazines, and established a prominent anti-communist organization. Later, he joined Harvard as a professor, persisting in his anti-communist pursuits, culminating in his 1948 work, Vital Center. In 1952, Schlesinger assumed the role of speechwriter for Adlai Stevenson, supporting the candidate in both his 1952 and 1956 presidential campaigns. Though Stevenson did not secure victory in either election, Schlesinger set a precedent by enlisting several intellectuals in campaign activities. Recognizing the receptivity of an increasingly educated middle class to the ideas of intellectuals, particularly when conveyed through political figures, Schlesinger pioneered the involvement of such figures in presidential campaigns, a practice that would become commonplace thereafter. Following Stevenson's second presidential bid, Schlesinger ascended to his most prestigious role yet as special counsel for John F. Kennedy. However, within the Kennedy White House, Schlesinger was often perceived as a special assistant without a special portfolio, according to Kenneth P. O'Donnell and David F. Powers. His vague array of duties included serving as a liaison to maintain Adlai Stevenson's satisfaction, fielding grievances from liberals, and acting as a contrarian voice within the administration. Despite this nebulous role, he was apparently well regarded, as evidenced by Robert Kennedy's warm appraisal of him. Drawing on his 3-year tenure in the Kennedy administration, Schlesinger penned the Pulitzer Prize-winning 8,000 Days. Subsequently, he returned to academia, eventually joining the Graduate Center at City College in New York. Despite his shift away from the political limelight, Schlesinger remained engaged in writing, public speaking, and political involvement, albeit from a less prominent position. His political convictions, characterized by staunch liberalism, endured over time. He defined his ideological stance in opposition to what he viewed as the dual threats to progressive liberalism: conservatism, characterized by dominance of the business community, and socialism, characterized by rule by ideological planners. Schlesinger's memoir, A Life in the 20th Century, Innocent Beginnings, embodies the perspective of a historian, consistently anchoring his personal experiences within the political and cultural milieu of his era. However, in Schlesinger's case, this approach is particularly fitting, as he was more than just an observer and critic. He was a significant figure in America's intellectual landscape from his earliest days. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.